How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Today I'm going to be working on this tiny little opal. So I've already got it dopped. This, believe it or not, is a toothpick. So this is quite a small piece. And I'm going to show you a bit of a cheats way of getting a round cut stone. I don't cut round stones very often. I like freeform. And if I'm going to do a cab, round is probably the last choice I would make. Unless the rough is really close to a circle already, I feel like it's typically a fairly wasteful cut. But on this small little example, I'm going to go and show you a bit of a cheats way of doing it. So I've got it mounted on a toothpick for a specific reason. So if I get my flex shaft out, this bad boy right here, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to mount the opal directly into the flex shaft here. So just like I would a Nova Point or a Diamond Burr, I am literally just going to mount this in there, tighten it down, and just make sure it spins fairly true. And that there, I'm now going to use a whole range of sandpaper grits just to hold it up against the edge. So I'm going to start fairly coarse. I'll show you each one as I use it. I'm going to start fairly coarse and just let it scrape up against the sandpaper until it turns itself nice and round, and then we're just going to go up grits and basically just scrape over the entire surface of the opal, give it a nice little dome, and we'll see what it looks like. So I'll record some of the process, if not all of it, because it doesn't actually take that long. It's quite a quick process, and you'll see what I come up with in the end. So let's have a crack. And here we go, starting at 120. Now you'll notice throughout this entire process, I'm not putting anything rigid, not even my finger, which is fairly soft, behind where I'm grinding the opal up against the sandpaper. We are using minimal pressure, if any pressure at all. This is just touching, and you can see there that it's only slightly taking it off. You're getting a bit of a white cloud around where I've been grinding. We are not pushing very hard at all, especially at the start when it's jagged. You might have bits sticking out. They need to go first before you apply any pressure. So just touching the surface of the sandpaper. You can see here we're working on the sides. You'll do all the shaping with the 120 pretty much. Want to get all the inclusions out, and then I'm just starting there. You can see I'm hitting the face and starting to round a bit of a dome. We don't want to do that too much with the 120 because you will get a lot of chipping, and we've got to make sure that we don't put the opal up against the sandpaper for too long because this is spinning quite fast and you're going to build up a lot of heat. So make sure it stays cool and you're just touching the surface, keep everything wet, and you've got no worries at all. It's actually really fun. And it takes shape really quickly. Now I'll show the rest of the grit. So we're going all the way up to 2500, but I won't show the process because it's exactly the same. You're barely touching the surface, we don't want any chips, and then you're done. Okay, well that's that. I don't know why, but it is incredibly fun to cut that style. It's pretty hard to see, so I'll pop up a couple macro shots that I take later on. I'll take a couple pictures because this camera doesn't have a macro lens and it's not going to pick up the color play in the front of this opal all that well at all. But it does have a nice little green on white, which is, yeah, it's alright. It's nothing special, but it's a good example of how to do this. You can scale this up. It doesn't have to be just toothpick size. You can mount larger pieces, especially if you've got a wood lathe. You can glue something onto a fairly large kind of dot and then just carve it back until it fits into your chuck. But this is just a really small, tiny example, and to emphasize how small it is, let's have a quick little look here. Alright, at a quick measure, it's about 3 millimeters, which is the equivalent of 0.1 of an inch. So it's quite small. Quite a small little stone here. But like I said, you can scale it up into larger pieces. I actually don't know what I would do with something this small. It's too small to even be in a earring setting, so I might do a couple of these and keep them aside for a little project where I can make a little bit of an opal dice. Some opal dice out of them. As Opal Mills has shown on his channel. That's where I saw it first, and I think it's a great idea, so I might do that at some point just for a bit of fun. How to get a really small circle. I just find cutting circles is a very rare occasion for me to do something like this. It's a little bit wasteful of material. I find that I cut cushion cuts a lot more than I cut these little circles, so if you're cutting earrings and you need it to be circular, then by all means, go for it. But once you start getting bigger, I would much rather just dop it and then use the rotary tool and cut it to a stencil. But It's a little bit of fun, and it's incredibly soothing to do. I'm not entirely sure why, but I did enjoy that, and I had a bit of a smile on my face throughout the entire process. Give it a try if you've got a rotary tool. It's a lot of fun, and you'll end up with a lot of little circles or bigger circles. It does get the circle shape quite well. I'm making it look a bit lopsided here by twirling it, but you can get it really accurate, and you can get a nice little dome on it too, so by all means, give it a crack, see what you think, and yeah, have fun with it.